Welcome to this quick video on internal components. So, I'm not going to go into too much detail what everything is, but you might want to know what these parts are. And looking here, you see it's quite a mess inside of some of these computers. So, the first part that you need to know about is the power supply. It should be fairly self-explanatory. It provides the power to all of the computer components, and it is what power cords plug into. So if you look on this back end here, you notice it has that little plug. It looks just like what your power cord plugs into. Well, it actually is what your power plug plugs into the back of your computer, your desktop. Moving on, the next main thing is the motherboard. That's the main board that all the computer components connect to. In some way or another, all of the parts will connect to the main board. The chipset, which is usually on the motherboard somewhere, manages the flow of data from the motherboard to the computer. RAM is called random access memory, and it's fast temporary storage. So a lot of times when you open a program, the computer will read it and put it into RAM so you can access it faster. It helps the computer run a lot faster. Then there's the processor, also called the CPU, or Central Processing Unit. It does the computer calculations. It's basically the brains of the system. There's a video card, which processes the video output of the computer. And as you can see, it does face the outside of the computer. So these are those connections that you connect your monitor to. Now, it's important to note some computers actually have this built into the motherboard, just like the sound card, which is also sometimes built into the motherboard. And as you may have figured, it also processes and outputs the sound on the computer. Next, we have a hard drive. It's a self-contained storage device that stores your computer data, including the operating system and personal data. So this is generally what they look like. But here's what they look like on the inside. It might not be what you think. So when you turn on your computer, you may hear like this spinning noise sometimes, and that's usually your hard drive, aside from the fans running in your computer. They actually have a spinning disk. And the way I like to put this, or my analogy is, it's almost like a record player. When you turn it on, it starts putting ones and zeros all over this disk, kind of like a record player has the sound put on it. So it's just like a modern record player almost, just with information. Now, there's also these things called solid-state drives, or SSDs. And they function just like a hard drive. They allow you to put information on them. It can be the operating system or anything like that. But it uses chips. They no longer use moving parts, basically. And here you can kind of see the inside of one of those. And finally, we have fans. And fans are in there to help regulate the temperature and airflow of the computer. Without them, most computers would actually overheat. So that's just a very quick overview of the internal parts of a computer. I'm not recommending at all that you go inside of a computer. I highly recommend that you do not. Be aware that it is electrical, so if you stick your hand in there, you could very well get shocked, as well as break a component, as many of them are touch sensitive and you can break them just by touching them. So that's just what the parts are inside your computer, so you know. And if you ever do look at a computer, maybe you'll know, oh, that looks like the RAM, and that would be the power supply. Alright, well, I hope this helped you out. Again, this was just mainly for your reference. However, if you do like this kind of stuff, I hope this helped you out pretty well.